Hi, everybody. This is Jenny Clark with Solvability. And today I'm so excited to have Emily Harmon on for Freedom Friday talking about all that she's been doing with Onward Movement and Onward Podcast. And Emily, I've just been so impressed. Every time I get in my car or I'm riding my bike and I'm listening to one of your podcasts, I'm like, I didn't even know she knew that one. So this is great. We're really looking forward to hearing from you. So I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself and go from there.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. I'm really happy to be here, and I've been thinking about what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to share a little bit of my story. And as I do that, I want to share my screen, see if I can. I just thought about something so that I could share. So I want to pull this up. Sorry, this is messing up the video. Can you see my screen there?
Absolutely.
Okay. Normally I'd click through this, but I'm just going to tell a little bit about my story. And I shared this slide, and this is the only slide I'm going to share today. I shared this slide yesterday when I gave a presentation that's recorded for a government marketing university presentation. And it's going to show, I think, November 19th. But they wanted me to start with my story. Like, how did I go from hiding behind the defense to being a senior executive in the Department of the Navy? And I really don't like talking about myself, but I told this story. So this is a story I told, and I actually flashed through the slides, but I'm not doing that today. So it's 6:30 in the morning, and it's a cold morning in Annandale, Virginia, and my alarm clock goes off. And I wake up, and I'm not ready to get up yet. So I roll over. I'm 11 years old. I roll over and try to go back to sleep, but my mom's voice, wakes me up. Emily, it's time to get up. She's always so cheery. And I know I need to get up because both of my parents work. And if I'm late, one of them's going to have to drive me to school. And if they have to drive me to school, then they'll be late for work. So warm blueberry muffins, that smell is coming up the stairs into my room. And I'm so hungry, but I can't eat them yet. There's something that I have to do before I can eat breakfast. I have to jump rope for 10 minutes. So I get up and I get dressed, walk down to the basement steps. Little crickets, those black crickets are jumping at my heels. It's cold and damp in the unfinished basement. And I start jumping rope. And the reason I'm jumping rope is because I want to make the varsity basketball team as a freshman. I'm like 5'6", 11 years old, 95 pounds probably, and very uncoordinated, not confident, but I do have a goal. But the reason I'm jumping rope isn't because I'm making myself do that. My parents make me do it. I didn't really have a choice. And my parents always ask, were your parents in the military? Or my friends always ask, were your parents in the military? And the answer is no, they weren't, but they saw my athletic potential before I even could. And I'm really, once I finish jumping rope, I'm able to eat that nice warm blueberry muffin. And to this day, I thank my parents for having me and my siblings jump rope in the morning before breakfast, because it taught me persistence. It taught me that small steps and setting goals, small steps can pay off. And you can take daily action towards a big goal. Because when I was a freshman, I did make the varsity basketball team in high school. And my senior year, I wasn't hiding behind the defense anymore. And I was the leading scorer in Maryland, DC, and Virginia, averaging 25 points a game. And that helped me get into the Naval Academy. And that picture there is me playing in the Army-Navy basketball game. And that led me to a 38-year career in the Navy. And so that, I think, led me to hosting the Onward podcast when I retired. The Onward podcast is about facing adversity and moving forward. And when I was a freshman at the Naval Academy, my freshman year, my plebe year, I tore my anterior cruciate ligament with 3 seconds left in the last scrimmage. And I was in the hospital for a week. Now you're in and out in a day. I was in the hospital for a week, right before final exams. It was really tough. Being a freshman is hard enough. So I think that, and then I tore my other knee ligament, same thing, right before my senior year. So I think just that and other adversity I've overcome, especially as a parent and a single parent, led me to creating the Onward podcast when I retired from the Department of the Navy. And so many people, when I retired, would tell me, Emily, you should go work for a large company, because I had been a contracting officer and I'd been the director of small business for the Department of the Navy, the senior advisor to the Secretary of the Navy on all small business matters. And so many people told me what I should do. And I went to the Naval Academy. I made that decision at age 17. And then I went there and, just through my whole career, I feel like I was never able to look up and really think about who I am and what I wanted. And so I started the Onward podcast, but then I also started the Onward movement. And the Onward movement is all about being your authentic self. And that journey to discovering my authentic self started, I'd say, in 2014 when I went to the World Domination Summit. A friend invited me and I had no idea what it was, but it was in Portland, Oregon, and I wanted to go there and see what it was like. But at that conference, I saw a different way of living. Like I had just been working for the Navy in a male-dominated environment, a tough contracting officer job, tough challenges raising my children. If you listen to the Onward podcast episode with my daughter, with her anxiety, she's got lots of invisible illnesses. My son, he's got, actually Sunday, he'll be 4 years sober from alcoholism. But it was 10 years of hell. And so I'd spent all my life, from the Naval Academy on, taking care of other people, I felt like, and putting others first. And I lost track of who I was and what I wanted for myself. And the World Domination Summit helped me see other ways of living. Like there were people that lived completely differently than, my military background or career showed. They were, like couch surfers, bloggers, they were coaches. And I thought to myself, this is how I want to live. I always envied people I'd seen in the coffee shop working. I was tired of wearing a suit and high heels to work every day. In fact, that was in 2014 that I went to the World Domination Summit. So fast forward to 2018, and I had a job at the Pentagon and I had to commute on the metro. And if you've ever done that, you'll see that everyone's got their headphones in and they look like this or like this. And I caught a view of myself in the mirror of the metro, and I thought, that's exactly how I look. And I didn't want to live that way anymore. So when I retired, I didn't do what everyone told me you should do. I went on a journey to discover who I am and what I want to do. And fortunately, I'm able to kind of combine my desire to coach individuals and to host this podcast with government contracting, because at the last GovCon, I gave a presentation on 3 main themes that come across in my Onward podcast episodes. And yesterday, my government marketing university presentation was the same thing, but I tied it to government marketing. And those 3 things are: know where you are and know where you're going. So for a government marketer, you need to know where your company is. Like, for example, on Jenny's solvability matrix there, where there's different steps. I can't remember the name of that.
You mean the GovCon growth model?
Yeah, the growth model. Know where you are and know where you're going. So for a marketer, you got to know where your company is and you got to know where you're going. Who are you marketing to? And then you also have to remember that you're not marketing to the government. You're actually marketing to a person. And so you need to be authentic in the way you market. And when I gave the presentation yesterday, the second point was ask for help. And as a government marketer, you need to ask for help and you need to find out how other people are successful. But guess what? You also need to know who you are, because I can't be successful the way Russ is successful, or the way Michael Lejeune is successful, or the way Chris Collins is successful, or the way Andre is successful, or the way Michael or Jenny are successful, or Joe, because I'm not you. So if I try to copy who you are, then I'm not being my authentic self, and my customer and everyone with whom I interact will know that. So it took a while for me to figure out, well, who am I and what do I want? And how do I stop pleasing other people? And how do I speak up? And that's what I've decided to do for my next phase of life. The third step is be persistent. And that applies in government contracting as well as marketing. So those are some of the things I talked about. I had to talk for 30 minutes, and then I shared a couple Onward podcast episodes. And it was interesting because I had practiced that presentation for over a week. But when I gave it and they were recording me yesterday, I cried during the presentation and we couldn't stop recording because I cried when I thought of Rodney Flowers, who knew where he was when he was 15 and he was in bed and his doctors told him at the hospital, your diagnosis is quadriplegic for the rest of your life. And Rodney's walking. 15 or 18 years later, he started walking. He's a contracting officer at NavAir. My roommate from the Naval Academy's daughter knew exactly where she was when she broke her neck at age 12 in a fluke gymnastics accident. And she knew that she wasn't going to end up, just giving up. So now she's on the US Paralympic cycling team. She's going to cycle in Tokyo. And Lisa Spector was really persistent. She's a Juilliard trained pianist. I met her a couple years ago out in California, and she fell in 2017 and broke her right hand. And she makes a living by playing the piano. So it took 3 surgeries to fix her, actually 4, to fix her right hand. And she was determined to play again with her right hand, but she started playing left hand only. And she realized she actually plays piano with her heart. And now after 4 surgeries, she's playing with both hands. So what I want to do with my coaching program is help people transform.
Oh my goodness.
My program.
I just love your cape there. What power you've got.
So that's my presentation. And if you have any questions, I'll share one more time my screen and show you.
I might have turned off your sharing.
That's okay. I have a new,
there we go.
Let's see if I have it up. I have a new website. Let's see if I can find it because I had it up. And there's Judy Bratt. She gave me a testimonial. So I have a new website about the Onward Movement. And, the Onward Movement's for you. If you're tired of putting everyone else first and leaving no time for yourself, if something's missing and you're not sure what it is, if you're a high achiever, continuously trying to accomplish, yet the more you accomplish, you feel unfulfilled and exhausted. If you've been putting other one's needs first, for so long that you don't even know yourself, you don't feel good enough and you got a long list of what you should do, but nothing sparks joy. You don't need to fit in and you want to stand out. And then also you have to have decided that you're ready to take action and personal responsibility. So, and then I've got some testimonials. This is a draft of our website and this is our manifesto. Although we strive to improve ourselves, we know we're enough just the way we are. We ask for help. We find a way to move onward despite our fear. We're persistent and we learn from our experiences. And I also developed a roadmap kind of depicting the journey that I went on and that I'd love to help other people go on. And I'm finding that there's a lot of, I know there's a lot of men on here, but it's a lot of females that feel this way. And especially veterans, like me, or people who have worked for the federal government or for maybe a single employer their whole life. Now they have an empty nest. Now they can finally do something they want to do, but they don't know what they want to do because they don't know who they are.
Well, and I feel like the other big thing is we've never given ourselves the choices to do that. And you want to be able to come up with a way that people can evaluate it. What's really funny, Emily, is I didn't really know you, but when I'd met you, but when you first posted on LinkedIn about what you were going through with your son, I was like, she is so honest and direct about this. And I think that we have been in this corporate thing, and it's certainly true in the military, but it was always true in the government. I mean, in the commercial world too. We put on a uniform and we showed up a certain way. And every time I would go on a business trip, I'd be getting on the plane and they'd ask me if I was a stewardess because I always had the look.
Yeah.
No, and we've dressed that way, we've thought that way, we've been told to be that way for so long, it never occurs to us to be something different. And what's really changed with COVID is, oh my gosh, we are really changing the way we think about our lives. I believe the other piece of it is it depends a lot on what age you are. Do you have children at home? Do you have other people you have responsibilities for? But it is time, a certain point in time, that you get to choose, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, just like me, you were brought up to believe if you thought that way, that was being selfish. So how do you get over, it's selfish of me to want to be able to ride my bike and do all these things, but you're giving so much along your journey.
Yeah, it's just, it's not like a quick fix. And I think people want a quick fix for things. And for an example, like for me, even when I was just so busy when I was working, I thought, well, when I retire, I have all this time, is going to be awesome. And I'm going to focus on me, and I'm going to go ride my bike, and I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. And that didn't automatically happen. Part of it's because when I retired, a month later, my former husband was sick, and 4 months later he died, and then I was the executor of the state. But that's not all it. It's because I don't know how to slow down. And I had a mother who still doesn't know how to slow down, and I refuse to be like her. So the way you get to that point where you can ride your bike and everything is you have to actually, meditating is helping me, and just practicing deep breathing and setting boundaries. I make time for myself now. Like, I don't really take any meetings until 10 in the morning, because that morning time is for me. And then it just starts the whole day off right. And I wasn't able to do that when I was working for the Navy.
Well, I feel like there's a belief in our minds that we have to do it one way, and making sure that we teach ourselves, just because you believe that doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is also
several times, like, why? Then you have to come up with an answer. Well, why? You come up with another answer, and then you realize, oh, that's just a story I'm making up. And now things have really changed with the internet and the ability to be flexible with the way you work and everything. So, I mean, I probably couldn't be on this journey 20 years ago, but there's a lot of people that are my age, 57, like me, that can start this journey if they want.
Well, I think it's so powerful to have those kind of choices now, and to be in a learning environment. And that's one of the things that we've been working on together. You, me, Russ, Eric Wright, Michael Lejeune, Josh Frank, talking about what can you do so you're in a constant learning mode. And I think the other thing that we've all encountered as entrepreneurs, sometimes we go, I think I better just quit. I can't do this. And one of the things that I think is so valuable about a forum like this is, once in a while, I'll say something to myself and I'll text it to Russ, and he'll go, what?
Yeah.
So I'd love to have some other people come on and just talk a little bit about how they see things changing. And one of the people I wanted to call on is Michael Lejeune, if he's on. I can't see him right now. Or Eric Wright. I should warn people before I call on them, shouldn't I?
Do what? Jenny, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Well, tell us something.
Tell us what?
Okay, so here's a good example
event.
of how much fun you can have in your life if you decide you're going to do it. Eric Wright is having a bunch of us down to his house in Florida in January. And for us to, as people, to think about, we're actually going to do a retreat weekend where we're working. It's like we're changing the way we work. We're changing how we choose to show up. And Eric, so tell us a little bit more about how things have been changing for you.
Well, so I'll share one thing that kind of piggybacks or extends what Emily was saying. I mean, for a lot of my career, I did 8 years in the military. I was med boarded out of 2 different branches. I was on every waiver you could get on, washed out of officer candidate school at 33. And I was the oldest intern at Department of Defense at 37. So, rough transition. And I really felt like I was behind the 8 ball, and I really felt like I had to prove myself to a lot of people. I had to catch up with my year group in uniform. I had to catch up with my year group from civilians, because I was neither one, really. That's what I felt like. So I really struggled with a missing sense of identity and purpose and mission and all that stuff, right? So kind of what Emily was talking about, I didn't know what my next end state was going to be. So anyway, I found project management. I was a mediocre accountant, and I'm too outgoing to be a good accountant. I scared the other ones half to death. So they didn't want me in the office anymore, right? So they put me on a project and sent me all over to customer sites. Well, I crushed it because I was using all the skills that I had learned in the military: small teams, equipping, planning, organizing, back planning, all that stuff. So long story short, I found project management. I realized it was a subset of management. I learned how to speak management. I went and got a PhD in finance. Then I became a consultant to executives, because I had integrity and I had chops, and they liked their money to grow. So easy peasy. That led me to university, running a college of business and teaching business classes and whatever. And, I finally had a realization, to Emily's point, where it was something for me, not something external to me. I just started having this really deep dissonance about, wow, so I'm telling others how to do it, I'm teaching others how to do it, but I wonder if I could pass the exam. Kind of like, I was mech infantry, never deployed to a combat zone. I was in the Navy, but not in the infantry. Can you pass that test? I don't know. I've never had to take it. So I thought, well, I'm going to go start a business. So my first one was a complete failure. I mean, I think it's still on the bottom of the gulch where I drove it off the cliff on fire, right? But I learned 19 different ways, 19 pages of lessons learned on how not to do a business like that. My next business was a success. I took $500 and a vision, and here we are 5 years later. We're a multi-million-dollar company. I took that success, and I've started 3 more companies that are going to be multi-million within the next 2 or 3 years each. And that allowed me to fund a nonprofit on my own dime. So I wake up every day, and my mission now is simple. I'm realizing who Eric is at 51 by helping others either advance their own careers or grow their own businesses, so that they can realize the same kind of success and the same addictive feeling of being a success and sharing success with others and helping others be successful. It's literally addictive. People say all the time, dude, you must slam a bunch of coffee or Red Bulls. No, I really don't. I have 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day. My wife won't let me drink Red Bulls, because you can only imagine what I would be like on one. So it's my way of paying rent around here. During my transition, 12 years it took me. There was one night with an empty bottle and a loaded firearm, and the only reason I'm sitting here is because I'm a Christian and I'm a coward. That's why I'm here. So I feel like every day I wake up now, that's how I square with the universe and pay my rent for the day, right? So until they put me in a hole, I got to help at least one person a day, which is small, and it's not external anymore. To Emily's point, it's me just getting paid to be me, doing something I would do for free. It's the most amazing spot. And I wish I'd have figured it out before 3 years ago, but hey, man, I'm enjoying it right now, and I can't wait. I'm going to do it until they, roll me in a hole. So I hope that worked, Jenny. Was that close?
That's exactly what I wanted to hear about, because I feel like we're all on a journey of discovery, and being locked up due to COVID made us learn it faster, because it's like all of our external stuff went away. And Russ, I would love to have you wrap us up by just kind of talking about how it fits together with the journey you've been on too.
Yeah, since we've only got a couple minutes, I'm just going to say this, that many times we run away from what we do best and who we are because we think it's easy, it's simple, it's not important, it has no value, anybody can do it. And that's where we really find our strength, our purpose, our passion. And it took me a lot longer. I just turned 60. And it was only a couple of years ago where I realized that strategy and organization were my superpowers. And when I started creating my life around doing what I could do within that strength, it changed the whole game. I've always been independent and self-sufficient, so I've never really looked externally for people to tell me what to do next. I've always been a person who created friction because I didn't want to do what people wanted me to do. So it was a different journey for me to then say, okay, if I'm not going to do what anybody else wants me to do, then what am I going to do? And so that's where I kind of came up with this intentionality, the purpose, and the crafting of a path that now you can execute. And that's what I help people with, because sometimes people will say relax, but then what does relax actually mean? How do you do that? Well, in the spaces that I work, when someone says know your numbers, I want to sit down with them and say, this is how you know your numbers. And then they can now execute that, and then they can move forward.
And Russ helped me. He's an expert.
I love what I
I
do.
know he certainly has helped me. So that's part of the reason we're doing our GovCon Summit later on in April of next year, really bringing together. Emily's going to be talking about authenticity. Russ is going to be talking about being intentional. Doc, you are the fluency guy. I'm the connector. And then we have Josh Frank, who is the accelerator. And then Michael Lejeune is the game changer. And if you haven't listened to Game Changer podcast, you'll be able to see how this is all coming together. But our goal as a group is to do what we love and help other people get on that same track to do what they want. And a lot of the people that we work with are veteran entrepreneurs, and they hire veterans. And every time that happens, that just makes my heart happy. So thanks, everybody.